Matthew chapter 7, and I want to encourage you to pause, go read it. But while you read Matthew 7, which is the last chapter in the Sermon on the Mount, I want to challenge you, go back and read 5, 6, and 7. Read the entirety of the Sermon on the Mount and see the messages and the themes that Jesus has woven throughout this greatest sermon ever given. So go read it. So like a lot of the Sermon on the Mount, this chapter is rich. There's a lot going on. But I want to draw our focus to one particular section. For me, it's Matthew 7, verses 7 and 8. Let's check it out. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks it will be opened. Now, what Jesus is doing here is he's building on the Lord's Prayer. Believers are encouraged to approach God and seek him in 3 big ways. Ask, seek, knock. It's important to note for us, too, that this is not a prosperity gospel. Prosperity gospel is not based in Scripture. It's not a stance that Northview has. So that's just important for us to remember as we look at this. But what Jesus is doing is he's instructing his followers to come to the Father with requests, and that according to that, according to the words of Jesus, God is always listening. Now, with each trait, I think it's important to provide a little insight. So ask. Disciples should come to God in humility and awareness of need. Just as Jesus demonstrated, it is good to ask the Father. As we see the ministry of Jesus unfold, we see him engaging in intentional and deliberate prayer to the Father and laying out requests. Seek. This connects one's prayer with responsible action in pursuing the will of God. We are called to seek out God's will for our lives and his will for his church. This takes intentional effort, as we said, responsible action in pursuit. We can't seek God if we're not looking for him. And the last, knock. This suggests perseverance. The disciples are encouraged to be persistent in prayer, confident that their Father will provide whatever is best for them according to his sovereign, gracious will. This passage is a great example of understanding the narrative of Scripture and not taking verses out of context. Ultimately, we need to submit to God and his will. He desires to hear from his people and be pursued by them. He created us to be an intentional and deliberate relationship, not just with one another, but with him as well. And this is especially true today. We should be taking advantage of the time and the season that we are in to put into practice what Jesus is talking about. To ask, to seek, and to knock. We, as followers of Christ, need to be willing to submit, to lay aside our own expectations and allow God to move and work. I want to challenge and encourage you to engage with God this week. Pray big prayers.